Hey, welcome back, guys. Power Book 2's mind-blowing season finale brought home what has easily been one of the greatest seasons in Power's history, maintaining the tension, bringing back some old faces, and unfortunately, killing off some new ones. The tragedies and triumphs that have begun to define Tariq's journey run hand in hand. And just as he's beaten his old case, a new one could be just on the horizon following the seismic events of episode 210. I'm here to break it all down in typical Top 10 WTF fashion. Before we begin, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and bell notification to immediately receive these videos. Also, big thank you to all of my channel donors. If you'd like to be the next one, drop $1 on that Cash App for us. And lastly, a spoiler alert is now in effect for all things Power. Here we go. WTF moment number 10. The good, the bad, and the Brayden. Brayden is surprisingly called to testify in his brother's absence in Tariq's double murder case, much to the chagrin of Davis and the defense. Tariq recalls the many details previously exposed to his right-hand man, but Brayden holds down his partner's cause exceptionally. He references their past association at Choke and not only takes credit for selling drugs there, but also for being the head of the criminal ring at Stansfield via Course Correct. Then, Brayden drives home his outlandish claims by providing signed paperwork inking him to the drug-fueled organization as president, something that was put into play earlier this season when Tariq and Brayden met with Sebastian Stern to provide proof of employment for Rick to gain custody over his sister. Following Brayden's loyal display, the judge moves to dismiss the case entirely, as all evidence pointed to a motive that Brayden shattered with a single stroke of a pen. WTF moment number 9. Blackface or black marks? Stephen Ott meets with Sweeney and presents the scandalous photo and its procurer, Rashad Tate. Ott goes full damage control per his usual steez and introduces several options to the beleaguered congressman in order to avoid bad press on him and the Democratic Party at large. Sweeney stops short of going full Joe Rogan on Tate, but eventually capitulates, having been bested by the councilman whose season-long goal has finally been realized. WTF moment number 8. Saxe, have some sympathy. Saxe makes an impromptu appearance at Tariq's meeting with Warren regarding Yasmin's adoption reversal. The prosecutor turned defense attorney conveys to his new former client that Lauren Baldwin is indeed dead, a tragic piece of information he learned from Jenny Sullivan. His intentions in revealing this to Tariq was to see if he was involved, and he was semi-relieved to learn that Rick was just as unpleasantly surprised as he was. Be that as the case, Tariq did have knowledge of her departure, as it was him who set it up, a tidbit he held from Saxe once the latter added her official cause of death, a car accident. The nature of Lauren's demise suggests that upon Effie knocking her out, she created a scenario where Lauren was switched to the driver's side, Cash left intact, and subsequently allowed to run off the road where all suspicions would subside upon her discovery. This news left Tariq searching for answers within himself, with the perpetrators of the event attempting to assuage his troubled conscience. WTF moment number 7. Meet the Edwards. In perhaps the most unexpected moment of the finale, Vanessa Edwards, formerly known the world over as Tasha Green St. Patrick, makes an appearance while lamenting her family's well-being in Witsec. The mother of 3 is startled by an uninvited visitor who turns out to be her former attorney, Tamika Washington. The virtuous counselor arrives with the greatest gift a grieving mother could ask for, her long-lost child. Upon the reunification, Tamika informs them of their new identities and lives, suggesting that they should forsake any past memories of their estranged son and brother respectively. Tasha then gives a cryptic look towards the truck, sensing her son's very presence and silently thanking him for arranging his family's redemption. WTF moment number 6. Change of plans. Once at the drop, Tariq reveals to Kane that he is not killing Lorenzo, and that Lorenzo is, in fact, in on the plot against Mecca along with the entire Tejada clan. This news is disconcerting to the already fragile Tejada's ego, but he complies with the rest of the plan. Lorenzo, Tariq, and Kane then conduct a shootout against Mecca's soldiers once the bag is discovered to be a fake, a plan concocted by Tariq using the metaphor of 3-card Monty. WTF moment number 5. BSK double cross. Lorenzo discovers that the BSKs have been riding with Mecca all along, following his removal of McVeigh and subsequent search of his phone. Then, Carlito pulls up on Drew in the spirit of betrayal and violently attacks him upon discovering that Mecca's bag was indeed a fake. Him and his crony then take turns on slumping Monet's middle child. However, right before he can be exterminated, Kane comes to his rescue, and the two begin putting the hands of God on the treacherous duo. Kane takes it a step further, literally, and hilariously punts Carlito in the face like the great Robbie Gold himself. WTF moment number 4. Is there a heaven for a rat? Tariq shows up to Mecca's penthouse just as Monet makes her murderous intentions clear to him. She ups the banger and threatens his life despite his overtures and unrelenting manipulations towards her. He then goes for broke, affirming that his death will result in cemented bitterness where Zeke is concerned, causing a permanent divide that time could never bridge as a result. Her response? Fuck you. Zeke will get over it, and she fires that fateful shot through his bald dome, ending his reign of tattle-based terror once and for all. WTF moment number 3. Crossed out. Running parallel to Monet's final showdown with Mecca, Lorenzo seeks him out for himself, something that he assured Monet he'd do as protector of the family despite her opposition to such an action, as it would jeopardize the overall plan. Renzo foolishly pursues him anyway and mistakes Zeke for the global snitching goat. As the latter attempts to board Mecca's plane, he's gunned down by Lorenzo in cold blood, forever extinguishing his life, basketball career, and any chance at reconciliation with his auntie moms. WTF moment number 2. We meet again. As Mecca's place is swarmed by police in the aftermath of his demise, his federal correspondent reveals herself to be none other than Blanca Rodriguez, the perpetual thorn in all of our sides during Power's first glorious run from season 5 all the way on through. She sadly confirms to his corpse that his call was too little, too late. Then, after learning that most of the camera footage had been eradicated, a surviving still shot reunited the law woman with none other than her book one adversary, Tariq St. Patrick, who was shown clear as fuck on that supposedly grainy photo. Blanca's presence here spells nothing but more dark times for our series lead, who after just beating a double murder case could find himself at the center of another one, sans the extra body. Tariq is going to have his hands full come season 3, and as always, we'll be ready to analyze his many subversions of the law. In WTF moment number 1, the cost. Monet rejoins her family back at the very table she once lost them for a routine meal. While at the table, she laments her nephew's son's glaring absence. Then, she receives a call that every parent dreads. The contact comes from Detective Kevin Whitman, who Zeke had been subtly gathering information from regarding Carrie's demise. In fact, Whitman's exposure of Monet's potential part in Carrie's death is sadly what led to Zeke's own, something Monet was to this point unaware of. However, Whitman shockingly confirmed for the Tejada matriarch that her son was indeed no more. Afterwards, we witness an overwhelming pain briefly rip through Monet before the scene cuts to black, leaving us on a major cliffhanger that will undoubtedly change the scope of the Tejada family and season 3 overall. This narrative epic, just 2 seasons in, is really just getting started. Some lingering thoughts before we end today's video. Tariq was cleared of fault in his double murder case, yet finds himself potentially implicated in another one. This time, it's by arguably Power's most unrelenting legal maverick, Blanca Rodriguez, who infamously hunted down Tariq's father until there was nothing left, nearly losing her career and sanity in pursuit of the legendary one himself. Make no mistake, she won't be easy to shake loose, especially as the evidence mounts against Tariq in the negative. Season 3 might be the craziest one yet for our boy. Monet's decision to lie to Kane about something as impactful as potentially murdering his forebear could have dire consequences in the season to come. She let everyone in on the plan, including Kane's nemesis Tariq, someone who he's been struggling to outshine from the very beginning. Kane will be one to watch as his jealousy continues to increase, as well as his insecurities supported by his mother's penchant for keeping him out of the loop. Speaking of Monet's deceptive nature, It's downright terrifying how she can lie with a straight face. We witnessed it when Zeke questioned her about Carrie's death, and again in setting up Mecca's inevitable demise, using Kane as a pawn on her master chessboard, depriving him of the respect she offered to everyone else. Much of her wicked wisdom is rooted in knowing the weaknesses of others, anticipating their reactions, and controlling the board with fail-safes in place. To someone who moves under such a callous order, everyone's a commodity, anyone can be implemented, and everyone is expendable. The only thing about that is, your loved ones aren't excluded from the board in the game you control, and Zeke's blood is as much on her hands as it is on Renzo's, though she'll never see it that way. I think Monet's premature killing of Mecca was to retain Tariq's services just a little while longer. Mecca just might have shot Tariq once he entered the penthouse, but that was a 50-50 chance. What Monet did understand is that once Tariq gained that currency, she would have lost out on not just her distro, but the son she wished she had in Kane. A cerebral mind that's proved more than useful in getting her out of jams and exposing potential dangers before they arise. The story she concocted for Tariq was simply another ploy from where I'm sitting, and Tariq will come to understand this soon enough. Tariq clutched that pistol pretty tightly upon asking Kane about Lauren. I wonder what would have transpired if that envious-ass nigga would have offered Tariq the wrong response. As much as Kane despises him, he'd be a fool to underestimate him. You would think after seeing what he did to his professor and hearing what he did to his father, that Kane would be more careful. But alas, fools rarely see the whole picture until it's drawn, and the scope of the man he hates with every bone of his being may present its full view come season 3. Also, keep in mind that Kane suggested killing Tariq to Mecca prior to Monet's intrusion. They have a murderous date with Destiny that's all but on hold, because as long as Kane breathes the air of God, Tariq will never be truly free, and freedom is what he requires to become the man he needs to be for himself and his family. Effie framing Lauren's death to look like a car accident is in a lot of ways what Tariq would have done. Remember, Effie is his closest counterpart from a lifestyle and psychological standpoint. Just as Tariq framed Jabari's murder as an inside job with the NYPD via Ramirez, it's logical that Effie would move the same way, given the stakes and potential blowback. The problem is, though, that Reek's plan eventually backfired on him, causing much of the strife he experienced this season. If Effie's plan unfolds in similar fashion, then escaping season 3 with her life intact could be a long shot at best. We'll see how it goes. Davis could find himself on the opposite end of the law come next season. His tendency to play both sides and burn anyone in the interest of compensation has created a dark karmic cloud that will inevitably bring a future storm. Plus, factor in his brother's case, Sax's moral conflictions, and of course, those 4 inches separating him from freedom and bondage, and you have the perfect stage for a greedy man's reckoning. But I'll get more into Davis in a video to come. It's well overdue. Sax's change of heart was hinted at throughout the season, but it could spell bad news for the lawman's future. His simpish desire for Jenny Sullivan has started him down a path that could lead to a dead end, literally. Now openly at odds with Davis, he'll likely dig into Rollins' case further and uncover McLean's relationship to him. Also, Tariq revealed his knowledge of Mecca to Sax, so who's to say he doesn't assist Blanca in her pending investigation against him? The two didn't end on the greatest of terms, but one thing that's always bound their interest was the execution of the law, especially against the most infamous evaders of it, i.e. the St. Patrick's. Also, notice how Jenny finally kissed Sax once he essentially laid his life down for her cause. He's literally the walking embodiment of risking it all. Good luck to him, though. To elaborate further on Tariq and Sax's exchange, once Sax revealed that Mecca's informant status led to the investigation into Tariq's father, a clear motive was established and could be potentially unveiled by Sax to Blanca when the time comes. Keep your eyes peeled for that one next season as well. Seeing Yaz return to Tasha was a beautiful moment in a show not known for many. It was the only outcome where Tariq could live with himself and also undermine his father one last time. Though it may not be what Ghost would have hoped for, it's honestly the best scenario given what the St. Patrick family has devolved into. And come to think of it, this is a version of Ghost's wishes regarding Yaz. By being with Tasha in Witsec, Her name will be changed, and no outsider will be able to find them. If anything, Tariq improved on Ghost's failsafe, and I think that's what the writers wanted us to see above all else. Brayden held it down for Tariq in a real way, and in Black History Month no less. However, his standing with Tariq may be tested beyond measure once he discovers his role in Lauren's demise. Brayden did save his life, and maybe Tariq's response to the gesture he admitted he could never repay will be to spare his brother's life when the time comes. A life for a life is generally the prelude to being done altogether. So was the case with Ghost and Tommy. It just may be the case with Reek and Brayden, but we shall see. Man, R.I.P. to Zeke Cross. The dude was as dumb as he was likable and didn't deserve such a tragic fate. He literally lived a lie for the bulk of his existence and didn't survive long enough to experience the fruits of the truth. Something he would have had he safely made it on that jet. His slaying will create many ripples in the Powerverse next season, not only within the Tejada household, but the media at large. The scrutiny alone will only burden the Tejada's criminal exploits and may lead to their implosion by Season 3's end. And lastly, what do y'all think will become of Lorenzo once Monet finds out he was the trigger man behind Zeke's unceremonious death? Whatever she decides, the Tejadas will never be the same, and that may play out best for Tariq once the smoke clears. He's primed to become a rich and powerful man, and he'll never reach either so long as he remains with that family. Their destruction and his ascension run hand in hand, and we'll see exactly how that manifests in the season to come. And that'll do it for this one. What were your thoughts on the Power Ghost Season 2 finale and the season as a whole? Be sure to drop me your opinions in the comments below. As always, I thank you for watching today's video. If you liked today's video, go ahead and drop $1 on that Cash App for us, hit the like button, share it with your friends who are Power fans, and subscribe for more content such as this. This is Rudy P. Magic of Rudy P. Magic Beats, and have a blessed one until the next one. Peace, y'all.